Hi, my name is LaShonda Lynch, and I am doing my cross-gender leisure project on rock climbing. Rock climbing became a sport in the late 1800s, but before the 1800s, it was only perceived as another form of mountaineering and not a standalone sport. And the public began accepting rock climbing as a sport in the 1950s because of a man named Walter Perry Smith, who was the first male person who became successful in rock climbing solo on the Maple Needles Mountain. Why has it been predominantly for the opposite gender? Rock climbing is dominated by the male population because of the way society has made males look and created the way a man is supposed to be, and how they're supposed to be tough and have strength and muscles and be aggressive. And according to both Krista Cachet and Caroline Heckenmeyer, both said that it is also because of the structure that these sports and the way it's defined by the specific requirements attached to traditionally male stereotypes. Victoria Robinson wrote a book on how she explains the masculinities in everyday sports by interviewing men and women who majority took up the sport rock climbing, and concluded how men are identified in rock climbing. She uses the term hegemonic masculinity, which explains a man's dominant position in society and how it justifies the subordination of women. How frequently did people of your gender participate in the activity in the past? During my research, I discovered that Lynn Hill was the first female American climber, but not the first female climber. Although rock climbing did not become a sport till the 1880s, in the 1850s to the 1990s, according to Claire Roche, the middle-class women increased in numbers to the Alps for a substantial minority climb in the late 1900s. I believe that because there are a group of women who went to a small minority climb and no one really noticed that men and other people didn't really think that women took rock climbing seriously at that time. How frequently do people of your gender participate in the activity today? There are a lot more women who participate in rock climbing today than they did back in the 1800s. I feel that the more women are praised on what they could do in a dominant male sport, then the more women would feel like they're not being subjected to something they cannot do, even though women shows that we can actually do it. Theories on why there may or may not have been historical changes in participation. In an article by Martin Woods, he shows how rock climbing progresses into serious leisure dominated by men. He looks at different countries and says that for British rock climbing, it's a very upper middle class recreation, and that there's a sign that shows to climb in a certain area, people must obtain from the Chatworth estate, and some exceptions are included, which is that they would have to be of a strong group of pre-war climbers and not just regular workers. Some workers qualified for that pre-war climber and had the strength for it, but they couldn't participate in the activity because they were of lower class. How or why does this activity fit into traditional ideals of leisure for the opposite gender? From Rachel Elizabeth Dilley and Sheila Jeanette Scratton, their definition of serious leisure acknowledged that leisure can be goal-oriented and entail long-term commitment that can be sometimes frustrating and boring, though the participants have and see their own skills, knowledge, and expertise over time. Using this definition, I believe that this activity is the ideal leisure for the opposite gender because males have the feeling that makes them feel exhilarated by the rush of climbing, and maybe competing against others with the same feeling too gives them that rush feeling. How does your experience with the cross-gendered activity relate to class materials covered? My experience in this activity relates to the materials covered in class, and how we discuss the culture and how society put this activity or any sports activity as male dominant, and comparing myself with Mona Lisa Smile and how she went into a school which taught girls how to be a housewife. I am breaking the social boundary and challenging males by participating in a male dominant sport. Why have you not participated in this activity before, and what constraints might you have felt or had? I didn't participate in this activity before because I couldn't find the time to go rock climbing while doing my studies and work. How did this activity challenge you, and what were you feeling while you participated? So some of the challenges that I had while rock climbing was after I did about 3 walls, my hands started hurting and it was difficult to climb more because I didn't have that upper body strength. And this wall specifically, they had little rocks against the wall. I was going with the green rocks, and it was kind of hard trying to get to one rock towards another when they're so far away. The biggest challenge I had was trying to figure out where to put my foot on the small rocks, and how to like leverage the wall without standing on the other colored rocks. While I was rock climbing, I just felt out of breath because it uses so much upper body strength. And I was trying to look at the other rock climbers to see like how they climbed and how they strategized where to put their hands and their feet. But overall, I was excited when I first came inside the building. I was a little scared because it was going to be my first time rock climbing. But once I climbed that first wall, the only thing I was scared about was coming back down. What insights into leisure for your gender and the opposite gender were gained? An insight I had for both genders is that rock climbing takes a lot of great strength, and women have that strength to climb faster than men and climb the same or further than what a man can do. Thank you for watching my video about my leisure activity. Hope you enjoyed it.